Hey guys, welcome back to Bros Talk Everything, episode number 5. We have a very, very cool episode today with a great guest on. Thank you guys for all the love and support we've been receiving. We've been getting a lot of followers, a lot of subscribers, and it wouldn't be possible without your guys' support. And with that, we have a ton of amazing guests on coming up in the next few weeks. Guys, we really, really appreciate all the support. So please watch till the end because it's an interesting episode all the way through. And remember to like and subscribe. Thank you guys again for all the love and support, and let's get into the video. Alright guys, welcome back to Bros Talk Everything. We're on our new episode. We're sorry we left you off a week, but we're back. And I'm your host, Tony Pack.
I'm your co-host, Evan Underwood.
And we have a very, very exciting guest on today.
And his name is DJ Dumas.
Hey, what's up with y'all? What's going on?
Alright guys, so today's a very special episode because we get the honor of interviewing a future D1 wide receiver.
Yeah, DJ was recently offered by Brent University, Division I football program. Not sure where that is in America, but still a really great opportunity for him, and I think he's looking forward to it. So.
Yes.
Alright guys, so as always, we're going to start off with our scripture because we like to keep God first.
All right, sorry about that. My camera fell. So me and DJ recently got back from an FCA football camp, and this FCA camp, I mean, obviously it's a football camp, but keeping God first. And every evening we would have a chapel service, and there was a pastor slash rapper named Trip Lee who gave a really good message both nights. And the emphasis, well, to me, really what stood out was that God saves. He can save anyone, and you're never too far gone. And I feel like that really spoke to me well. Like, this isn't a specific thing for me because I mean, obviously, I believe in God, and I have for a very long time. But I feel like it's really speaking to people who maybe they didn't really believe in God. Maybe they're new to it, and it could be later in life when they find God. And I think it's what really powerful reading because it talks about how God does not just save in modesty. He doesn't just save certain people. It doesn't matter what you've done in your past. That that the past is erased when you find God because Jesus died on the cross for our sins, and when you accept Him, you have a place in heaven. What one of the other pastors spoke about was that you're still going to make mistakes. Everybody's a sinner. No one's perfect. Even when you accept God into your life, you're not going to be perfect. Everybody still sins. That's okay. You just obviously go to God and ask for forgiveness for your sins, and that it doesn't matter how many sins you committed, even ones you've already accepted God into your life, that you should still continue to go to Him in prayer, and that He's never just going to forget about someone. I think the parable of the one lost sheep, how He left 99 to go back to find the one. And everybody matters to Him so much. Everyone matters equally to Him, whether you've grown up in a Christian household and been a passionate Christian for your whole life, or whether you're later in life, like 50 or 60, maybe even 70, and just now turning to God. He treats everyone equal. He can save anyone. He's not just going to save specific people. And at any point, if you turn to God, you still have an opportunity to get into heaven. So I thought that was a really powerful reading. That was kind of like the emphasis for the 2 days of chapel. And it meant a lot to me. I think it meant a lot to a lot of people. Yeah.
That was a powerful message, Ev. So for my reading, I'm reading out of Matthew 23 today. And I have to shout out my family group leaders today because this message, really, I heard it from them. So, but this reminded me of something I read in Acts 7, which I'm currently reading now, where it's Stephen's message to the Sanhedrin, which is like the Jewish council, where he's telling them that every prophet, every man of God that the Lord has sent, they've killed him. The Jewish people all throughout history have killed and persecuted God's own prophets out of greed and jealousy. And Stephen said it there, talking about Jesus and about himself. And again, Jesus says it here. He says, "Woe to you, teachers of the law and Pharisees, you hypocrites! You build tombs for the prophets and decorate the graves of the righteous. And you say, if we have lived in the days of our forefathers, we would not have taken a part with them in shedding the blood of prophets. So you testify against yourselves that you are the descendants of those who murdered the prophets. Fill up then the measures of the sin of your forefathers." And what that basically says is he's just calling them out on it. He says, you guys, the Pharisees, are saying that if you lived when Moses or the judges lived, you wouldn't have persecuted them. Yet you persecute me, the righteous Son of God. And Jesus is just pointing out to them, you're a hypocrite. You're lying to people and you're lying to yourself of how you're always going to persecute the righteous. You're always going to persecute the people that God sends. And they even persecute the righteous Son of God.
All right, so for my verse, I have Proverbs 12, 15, where it says, "A fool's way is right in his own eyes, but whoever listens to is wise." So throughout the whole book of Proverbs, really, we see where you can constantly remind the word. I'm more knowledgeable about the word of God. And so for this verse specifically, we're gonna go through life, but there's a lot of times where we're gonna make decisions that to us seem simple, to where we can make independently. But at the end of the day, we all, um, whatever decisions we make, whatever time we face, whatever in front of us, all God has already been through that. He's already stepped foot through that before us, and so He obviously knows the outcome, and He knows what we would face to go through that. And so throughout every decision, whether it's easy, hard, whether it's simple, complex, any decision we have to make, anything we face, we can always, always, always rely. And I feel like that's from a lot of people. That's a lot of cases. They feel so they too much pride and feel so independent to where they feel like you know whatever whatever they do, they can figure it out on their own. End of the day, we all know that once if you try to move on your own, you get stuck. It's the same thing you repeat, and you feel stuck. Like, you feel helpless. And so at the end of the day, it's up to you to decide. All of us to decide. I know I can move, but it's up to all of us to decide whether or not we can turn to God. Of course, pray about it, and then seek His wisdom. Say throughout the whole book of Proverbs, but at the end of the day, seek His wisdom and see, what He tells us to do, how He wants to order steps. And of course, if it's according to His will, then whatever it is will be done.
Hey DJ, that was a beautiful message. So D1, not a lot of people go D1. A lot of people want to go D1, but not many people do. So that takes like somebody with you. That takes inspiration. So what's that inspiration been in your life?
Well, I can tell you, me and my dad, we've always been the competitive type of relationship. And so I would say it pains me to say this, but he's always been an inspiration in my life. He's been putting a football in my hands since I was 2 years old, and he's actually been blessed to have the opportunity to go D1 himself. And so him having that experience, he wanted that to carry on to me, and which I feel like obviously he was very successful in doing that. But just I know how hard he pushes me. No matter if I'm comfortable with it or not, I know how hard he pushes me each and every day to be the best I can be athletically, academically, and as a man overall, and as a child of God. And so when I look at him, when I look at him and I interact with him every day, I can just I can feel like how I'm not how powerful, but how much of an influence he has on everything I say. And so, he's really been the main inspiration in my life. And then of course you got certain people that I look up to, like in D1 already, in college already, in the NFL. But in terms of, personal connection, personal influence, I feel like he's the main person in my life for that.
So I know you're recently offered by Bryant University a D1 football program. So what was that journey like? Talking to their coaches, maybe meeting them at a camp, and just being in contact with them in the past couple of weeks and or months.
So honestly, what's crazy about that was um, it was completely unexpected because I've never seen in all of the camps I've been to like seven different in the span of a month. And each one of those camps, I, I'm pretty sure they wasn't in attendance on none of them. So when it was a dude, I forget, it was like the athletic or the recruiting liaison or some one of them. And he actually reached out to me and he had emailed me and he wanted me to turn in on my academic stuff because of course that's the academic part is he was part of the recruiting process. So he wanted to turn in my academic stuff and I did as soon as possible. And I would say maybe two- a day and a half, 2 days later, he reached back out and he was telling me that, you know, uh, we're gonna offer you uh the specific amount doesn't come out yet because they don't open applications until August. So I don't have a specific, scholarship amount yet. But he said I'm probably gonna be if I choose a school, of course, I'm gonna be admitted fall of 2026. So that was pretty cool. And then he told me that he wanted me to reach out to the running back coach. So if I have any questions, if I want to set up a visit, game day visit, um, any of that, just let him know. I can do that. And so as of right now, just trying to get small talk on uh, because I'm starting to have a little smaller office coming in at the same. And so I'm just trying to pick pick and choose my decisions. Let everything roll out. But as far as them, as far as Bryant, it was pretty cool. It's a complete blessing because it came out of nowhere. So I'm trying to see if I can set up a visit there, check out the campus, check out the facilities. I did learn that they actually have their building a new field house, so it's including the room, team room, the training room, all that. And I think they said it's gonna be done this fall. So that's pretty cool. So I do get a chance to go out there and check out the facility. But yeah, it's just like I said, it's a complete blessing because it came out of nowhere. You know, still at that point, still working to even see if I'm going to go D1. You know, so the whole process. is cool. Like I said, we not there yet. I'm gonna keep on working, keep on pushing, keep on, giving them uh, more and more of a reason to want.
All right, so Evan was actually telling me before the podcast started about how you came to Trinity during sophomore year and you couldn't play varsity for a year. Now you're playing, but you're good enough to go D1. So why would you as a question, what made you want to come to our school, Trinity, and not be able to play a year just to play for us?
So first of all, number one, of course, the opportunity to express my love for God, my love for Jesus publicly without being, ashamed for it. That's of course that's the number one reason. And second, the school I was before, Fayette County. at the time at least, with the head coach we had there, he didn't want to pass the ball for nothing. Like every single play was a run, and then a few times he probably just throw it up to somebody, and if they caught it, and if they did catch it, keep on doing run plays. So it was at that point. It was week 3 or 4, and week 4 of my sophomore year that I um to transfer out. And it's not cause, like I said, not cause I wasn't getting play time. And I was am blessed enough to be able to start all 4 years of my high school career. Um, so I'm forever grateful for that because I know that's an opportunity a lot of people don't get. Um, but when I came here, I already knew the system we had, thanks to Coach Lance and Coach Josh and everybody that's part of our coaching staff. I already knew that I was going to get more and more opportunities to showcase my talents and everything I could bring to the table. And um, a player like me that has a specific play style, I knew that once because like you said, I couldn't get the full immersion of being able to play that year. But once I just sitting back and observing, and once I saw that, I was like, oh, yeah, what I bring to the table perfectly fits in with what's going on here. And so that was really cool. And um, when as soon as I got the opportunity to, you know, to obviously get in and get some reps on to, I had to in my mind knew like I had something to prove because I'm coming from a, a with all due respect, I'm coming from a terrible school, right? And so the the perspective on me is that I'm I'm pretty much a bad player because I'm coming from a bad school, right? And so I knew I had something to prove, and I knew not just that, but I knew I had to just show that I belong here, you know. And so like I said, I took every rep like it was my last. Every rep mattered. And so, a guy like me, like I said, I'm on the smaller side. So I knew that I had to rely on, my speed and not just my physical abilities, but my mental abilities as well. Because a lot of what really separates a lot of players, um, is not just, how big and strong, how fast you are, but also how smart you are on the field, especially at my position, because you can run routes all you want, but if you don't know how to create separation at the top or off the line, off the release, then you're not going to get open, and so that that lessens your production. And so I feel like that's something I'm extremely good at, and so that's how I was able to separate myself from everybody else. And like I said, thank the Lord Jesus, I was able to, perform the way I performed in practice and on the field to be able to get that starting position and, like you said, eventually get a chance to play D1 football. And so that came from going to camps because that's something I take serious too. Like I say, any opportunity I get to showcase my talent, I got to do it at the fullest. And so, just that effort and the love for the game, I feel like on my part is really, separated myself. And I knew that while I was at Fed. And so, of course, my family, God, we prayed about it. And so that eventually led to the decision to leave. And then, that effort and that attitude led me to be able to start once I got a chance. And then I'm performing now, all that.
So I know a lot of people just see either the work you put in on the football field to get the D1 opportunity, but what are some other things like some struggles that, people may not know about?
That's a good question. Um, well, a lot of people that know me know that I'm not originally from Georgia. Um, I spent just a little bit of my life in New Orleans, Louisiana. And so my entire bloodline, mom side, dad side. My entire bloodline is from Louisiana, if not currently in Louisiana. And I would say the hardest part about that is just, that real connection with family. And it's a blessing and a curse, obviously. Um, because that gives me something, I can play for anytime I step up on the field. I thank, everybody I got at home, how I'm not gonna say they were lying on me, but it would be, it'll also be a great opportunity if I play down there with family, and that's really the main goal. To be honest, I would love to play anywhere in Louisiana or in college. Um, but just me being able to perform for them, uh, it it really adds some pressure. Um, not a whole lot to where I thought it would break down, but it has some type of weight on my mind. Um, and there's a lot of, like I said, a lot of them I don't get to see every day. I probably see them maybe once every year or every 2 years. And so, obviously there's times where we catch up on the phone, where we text each other, but I also even when I came to Georgia, um, I lived in Jonesboro in Clayton County for that's really where I spent my childhood. And so there was a lot of friends I made there. And when I moved to Fayette County, there was a lot of them I left behind. And unfortunately, since we were so young, it's not like I could get their phone number and catch up with them. Um, we were so young at the time, and nobody really had phones. And so, just you know, it's just a lot of moments in my life where I just started to leave people behind, and it's kind of hard to catch up with a lot of them. Um, so I don't really know the current status of them because for people you care about, you obviously want to know how they're doing. Um, and unfortunately for me, that's extremely difficult for me to do. Um, so that's really something I think about every day because I like I said before, for the people that know me, uh, a lot of a lot of people also know that I have lost a lot of people, unfortunately, and so that's also something I think about pretty much every day. Uh, you know, and God rest their soul. But like I said, it's also a blessing and a curse. Blessings because they're with God. That I know they ain't heaven, and I know they're looking down on not just me but all of us. You know, um, but it's also a blessing where that's another thing I get to play for. Because I know anytime, not just when I perform, but even when I do bad, I know that they're still looking down on me. They still room for me, cheering me on, and so um, that's also another thing that I would say adds a lot of pressure on my mind and on my shoulders. But like I said, at the same time, it's a blessing because it gives me a true purpose. Which is another thing a lot of people also really don't have. It's true purpose for playing the game. True purpose for whatever they do. And I feel like, God has blessed me with the opportunity to have that. But of course, it comes with a lot of, overthinking and a lot of, sometimes I may feel down, sometimes, you know what I'm saying? And so that's, um, that's really the main thing I would say a lot of people don't really realize, is that not just how, you know, the physical work that goes into it, but also the mental and the spiritual work. Because despite despite everything I leave out on the field, I still gotta go home and go home, get in my bed, go to sleep, and whatever's on my mind that day, I either have the opportunity to think about it for the rest of the night or let go and let God, you know. And so, like I said, that's just something a lot of people realize that, a lot of people don't realize that um, is a pretty much daily. But still, I know I'm blessed. I know I'm blessed unimaginably with the things that I do have, things that I know I will. Because, like I said, at the end of the day, I know that God is good.
So, DJ, we're sorry for your loss, for the people you did, but we're gonna try to move into our question segment now. So, first off, our first question is: would you rather have the career of Julio Jones or Kadarius Toney?
Career of Julio Jones or Darius Tony.
You know, one of them won a ring, but is very
Right,
injured.
right. Yeah, I feel you. Okay. Hmm. I would say Julio Jones. Here's why. It's I understand why people would pick the career carry song because when it's all said and done, you either have a ring or you don't. You know what I'm saying? But at the same time, I feel like going down, being known as one of the best receivers of all time, that's something, you know, because the Super Bowl is probably gonna go on for another 100, 200, 300 years. But there's not too many people that can have their name stamped on paper, being known as the best receiver of all time. So I would say Julio Jones. Also, he's Julio Jones, you know. But it I feel like being able to win a Super Bowl is probably it's a great feeling, but it'll be more of a temporary glory type of deal rather than having, I don't know, I'm gonna guess probably like the third most receiving yards, third most receptions, third most touchdowns, receiving touchdowns. Just having that is like you can't compare to that, you know. So I would definitely say Julio Jones.
All right, guys. So we know we're pretty late to this, but we still wanted to talk about the tragedy that happened in Texas, the Camp Mystic flood. And as I was looking at what actually happened, it said that the waters surged in the camp 30 feet within minutes. And so they were in their cabin sleeping, and then water just poured in from out of nowhere. And it said that at least 27 campers or counselors died during the camp, but that the long-time director, Richard Eastland, 74 years old, um, he passed away as well during it, trying to help, trying to rescue. And then you see like a bunch of young victims too. And so it's a church camp, you know? So as Christians, we see this and we're like, how can God let something like this happen at a church camp? And we don't know God's intent. We don't know his plan. That's why he's God, because he's all knowing. And so whether this was anything, an attack from the evil one, we don't know, but God knows. And these children and Richard Eastland, they're in heaven with him now. They're with him now upstairs, living the best thing they could ever live compared to down here. So we send our condolences, but we know that God has us all in his hand.
So, like Tony said, we send our condolences. Obviously, it was a horrific tragedy, but heard about it on the news for days. And I understand, like, this must have been a really bad struggle for the families affected by this. and um, I just can't even imagine what they could be going through right now. And um, I think another message we can get out of this is to be appreciative of what we have even at a young age. Like obviously Tony made an excellent point about like they're in heaven right now and that's amazing, but at the same time, I mean these are um even the counselors are in their late teens or their early 20s, really young people, all of them just we have to be appreciative for what we have because it can be taken away at any time and like we may not think of it as a big deal like oh yeah we woke up today and got to live another day because it's what we're used to. I mean we've been doing it for years so it's something that we're completely used to. I feel like we take it for granted sometimes and then we see people just probably having the time of their lives at church camp passing away in an awful tragedy. And um, I don't really know all to say. I feel like Tony covered it really well, but I think we just need to really give thanks to God that we were able to wake up today, and we need to be very appreciative for the little things.
So DJ, thank you for being on this podcast. So we got a lot of people watching right now. So what's like a piece of advice that's always stuck with you or that you've always thought of in hard times?
Um, as always, number one, trust God. You know, you could be what feel like in the pits of hell. As long as you have, you know, that faith of a mustard seed, you're gonna be all right. Number two, I would say for guys like me, for people like me, players like me that are out there that everybody called, you know, too small, too weak, too little, too short, any of that. Nothing, nothing is impossible. As long as you put in the work, then you will get recognition. And something that's always stuck with me was um this was about 3 years ago going into so in middle school I was a very good player. So I was talking to a like a recruiting agent, somebody, and what he said was that always stuck with me was that you know the people that worry about offers the most will never get them because they're too focused on how they can put their name out there when in reality their name really doesn't mean nothing, at least at that moment. You know, so the main thing you want to do is to focus on, you know, yourself as a player and do anything you can to, to, like I said, just make yourself better and to, build yourself not just as a better player, but as a better student as well, because grades is a major thing, and also as a better man, a man of character. You want to make sure that's always on point. And so, I would say that just let God control, because you can't control the mind of a college coach, whatever division it is. It could be JUCO, NAIA, D3, D2, D1. You can't control the mind of the coach. As long, just let go of it. Let God control it. As long as you focus on what you can do each and every day. When you wake up, what can you do? After you eat breakfast, what can you do? You know, after you're done with lunch, what can you do? Before dinner, what can you do? After dinner, what can you do? The 20 minutes before you lie down and go to bed, what can you do? And so just moving like that really that's really important for a lot of people. So don't ever let nobody say you can't do it. Because I promise you you can. You just gotta trust that God is on your side at all times and everything will be okay. That's it.
All right. So again, thank you, DJ, for being on this podcast episode. Thank y'all for watching. Make sure to like and subscribe so you don't miss another episode with another great guests. And remember, keep God first, and we'll see you guys next time.